Alright guys, welcome back to another HIO free-to-play walkthrough, and today we have A Witch's Tale. It's been a while since I've played a visual novel, and this is not the music that's in the game. This is like free music from YouTube because I don't want to get ID claimed, which happens on HIO. But as always, I'll leave a link to the game in the description if you want to try it for yourself, and if you like the video, please like and subscribe. I'm not sure if this is the demo or the full game, because it did mention the demo on the webpage, so this might just be the demo. The last thing I remember is that I stopped feeling the cold even though it hadn't stopped snowing, and it had already gotten dark. Snowflakes slid past me and I was unable to move. Also, the game starts in Spanish, so I don't know. So you'll have to change the language to English if you were an English-speaking person like me and you want to play it. I don't think I even had warm clothes on, but the details are blurry. I still don't know why I was here. Just had a strange, heavy drowsiness that barely allowed me to keep my eyes open, much less perceive subtleties. But I still have the firm conviction that if I fall asleep, I won't wake up again. Silently, I fight my own way against my eyelids. I couldn't feel the stone under my body earlier, either. To tell the truth, I didn't even notice my limbs. It was as if I had lost the ability to touch. I no longer felt anything. My memory has some gaps. I remember the color red. I remember screaming and also merriment, but nothing is clear. Something bad happened to me. I could feel the click of the wood as it burned. I could see some wisp of ash getting lost in the immensity of the night. There was the laughter, voices, but their words were unintelligible. I think that I'm dying. I have the feeling of wanting to call someone. Someone who loved and cared about me. But I don't know. I don't remember. I don't. Everything is turning dark. I think it's over. Someone has picked me up. My knees sting. I think it's because the heat tries to return them in the most painful way. Although the blanket seemed soft at the moment, it was not particularly pleasant. Something is happening. I don't know what, but it's getting harder and harder to remember anything before this moment. I can hardly bring myself to focus on that tiny golden needle threaded with a very fine scarlet thread. Much less the presence that wields it. Even though I know it's there, I can hear it humming. The old seamstress... Was that her talking? The old seamstress sewed and sewed incessantly. She patched and patched with determination. Not even she got married. Blankets, tablecloths, rich dresses, and even a doublet. There was no material she couldn't get through, no crease she couldn't smooth. The old seamstress did it out of vocation. I felt a false security with that little song that sounded vaguely familiar. If I was fading, I think there would be no more pain. Just calm, like that lullaby. I let myself be rocked in those unfamiliar arms with an unusual peace. It's pretty well written, especially for this being the second language of the game. The next thing I remember is a tumultuous awakening, a gasp that's pulled me out of that dream, like someone emerging from water after not breathing for a long time. My first assurance is that I had returned from a place from which you can very rarely return. A chill ran down my spine as I tried to get away from those thoughts at all costs. I had survived even if I didn't quite know how, and that was all that had to matter. I focused on what was around me, on the strange room I was in. I was in a bed, one that I did not recognize at all, as I did not with the rest of the scant furniture. The house seemed humble but well stocked, although there was no trace of the person who had brought me here. Where am I? Or where I am. About if I wanted to get out of there or not. I was even more confused if possible. My memories, they weren't coming back. About if I wanted to get out of there or not. I was even more confused if possible. A lump formed in my throat as I tried to remember, but the harder I tried, the more severe my headache got. Maybe if I do some research I can find out where I am. If I am safe, or who rescued me. I grabbed the sheets, and before reaching to pull them away, my eyes noticed that my hands were full of stitches. I noticed a cold sweat trickling down my back. I ran one of my fingers over one of the scars that ran along my right wrist. My breath hitched nervously, and not sure if they were always there or not. Far from being paralyzed, I felt a greater need for answers. I gulped as I approached the mirror on the dresser. Before looking up, I already knew what I was going to find. Those strange stitches were all over my body, my face, my neck. I could even see them going down under my clothes. I looked sickly with those patches of skin on different shades and that whitish hair. Even my eyes had disparate and unnatural colors. Even if I don't remember who I am, or what I should look like, I'm sure it was nothing like this. I'm a monster. Inside me, I knew there was a concept of normality, and that what I see in front of the mirror was something completely abnormal. Someone had made me like this. That was the only security I could count on right now. I struggled to find something familiar in that unusual face. My fingertips ran over the closed wounds. I felt no pain. They seemed completely healed. The angles of that face, those eyes, not that hair, I don't know whose they are. I don't want to keep looking at it. It just makes me nauseous. I just want to go back home. Yes, I remember that. I remember how I wanted to get home. Am I home? I'm going to move on. If I stop, I think I'm going to break. I don't think there's anything else here that I can investigate. I will leave the room. Psych? You thought. I rummaged through the drawer, but theirs are only clothes. I think they are my size, but now I don't need to change. I lower my head and look at what I'm wearing. It is humble, but it is clean and it looks in good condition. This may be my home after all. A skein of wool, a stuffed animal in the shape of a sheep, and a cloth bag with sandalwood. There doesn't seem to be anything useful. I also don't understand the coherence between all those objects. It seems as that they had been stored without any logic. Supposedly there's a hidden room. I don't know if it's... I think they said it's not in the demo though. But yeah, if I get answer choices, I'm gonna click them all. If I get the option. For like the point and click stuff. The sun hit my retinas and blinded me for a couple of seconds. I felt like my eyes are very sensitive to light. I walked a bit through the room, which spanned the front of the house. From there I could see the kitchen, the hall, and a small living room. The decor was still austere, but unlike the bedroom, the kitchen was full of pots and pans, and an abundance of spices. A book, probably a cookbook. I take it and feel its weight under the palms of my hands. I turn several pages and begin to read them vertically. I'm surprised, but I understand everything it says. Did I know how to read? It's an idea that struck me as strange. As I feared, they were instructions. Mandrake macerated from 3 full moons? For 3 full moons. How specific? Frog legs? I don't think I've tried them before, but I'm not too fond of the idea. An octogenarian wort? An octogenarian wort. This doesn't look like a cooking recipe. It's more like a witch's potion. I looked at the corner and confirmed my suspicion. I walked away from the book as much as possible, wishing it wasn't my home, nor was it anyone else's I knew. Although now I can get an idea of what had happened. I am probably the product of some kind of magic. Magic! The wall is full of plants in the process of drying. The room smells good thanks to them. I recognize some of them. Chamomile, thyme, sage, and rosemary. I remember liking chamomile infusions on rainy days. The moisture got stuck in my bones and they hurt. And they hurt? When they hurt. I clenched my fist. Even if my body was strange, it didn't seem fragile. I felt strong and healthy, not like I just remembered. Is there anything else I can click that might be hidden? I don't think so. Here's a knife with a strange curved edge. It looks like a sickle, but it's more stylized. Several symbols are engraved on the handle that I don't recognize at all. I don't have a good feeling. I better walk away. The smell of the saucepan that is on the fire is very pleasant. My guts rumbled, and I wonder when was the last time I'd had a hot meal. It makes me want to put the ladle in the saucepan. The only reason not to was the assurance that someone else was there. I wouldn't want to offend them. Although after reading the book, I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't food. I definitely better walk away. An exit. I went to the door and pulled the handle. It didn't budge an inch. Closed. Maybe there's a key somewhere. I just have to keep exploring the house. This room was strange. I don't know what I was expecting to find, but not a makeshift sewing workshop. Is the key around here? It will take forever to check everything. Oh, we're checking everything. There is a key, it'd be in here. A spinning wheel! That ancient machine was already refining a very peculiar looking, delicate red thread. I don't think I've ever seen material like that before. It seemed made of something almost alive. I brushed it with my fingertips, to my surprise, it stuck to my skin, turning black instantly. How weird. I walked away. There was something about it that made it completely unnatural in my eyes. Wow! Wow! I've never seen anything like it. At first glance, it might not look like a highly realistic painting, but as I looked closer, I realized that it was a tapestry sewn with fine and small stitches. I couldn't say for sure what it was trying to tell, but it was clear that it was some kind of story. I'd seen family quilts and tapestries before, talking about dynasties, but this was different. The central figure was a spider perched on a spider web, swaying between a couple of trees. By its size, the spider seemed unbelievably large. Was this some kind of fable? I think at some point they told me about the terrible spiders that lived in the forest, although most likely they were children's stories to ward off the kids. Right now I can't identify where or when these memories come from. Uh-oh. Ah! What was that? I would swear I saw a shadow behind my back and it wasn't exactly small. I felt a chill down my spine. I'm not sure that a person can move that fast. Hello? Even if I had many reasons to distrust the intentions of the owner of the cabin, if I was in real danger, I don't think they would have left me enclosed in a bed. Can I talk to you? What the hell? This time, I can confirm that it was not my imagination. It has gone to the kitchen. Ah. Stop it. Skeins of wool, yarn, knitting needles, all scattered. Whoever lives here must have a passion for sewing. Not so much for the order. Every minute I spend here, I am more clear that all this is not mine. Although I do not rule out trying crocheting. Will I be good at it? Crocheting. I think I like to carve wood. Toys and small decorations. I was working on that? No, I think it was more like a hobby. On the mannequin is a half-made suit. I have never seen anything like it. Even if there were basted parts, you could see that they were fabrics of great quality and beauty. But the handicraft work was even more amazing. The embroidery on the cuffs was so delicate and well done. It was clothing that only a nobleman with a lot of money could afford. It seems very big to me, but touch invites you to try it. What kind of person lived here? A craftsman? A witch? This is getting more and more confusing. There was no key in here after— oh! It has gone to the kitchen. What the hell? Why do we keep skipping? Why? I hurried over there, but the shadow slipped behind the front desk. Back off! I didn't expect that answer. The voice sounded scared. Could it be because of my appearance? You're the person who picked me up in the forest. Something tells me that my intuition is not failing me. And this is your house? Yes. So why are you hiding? It's better that way. And what am I doing here? You had an accident. In the woods. I see. I'm glad that you feel better. I have left a casserole with homemade stew. You will be hungry. So that's why it smelled so appetizing. Perhaps I have judged the owner of this house too quickly. Thanks. My guts roared inside my body in reply. A hand slid across the counter table and left a couple of silverware and a wooden plate. I didn't want to insist and took the silverware and plate and helped myself to a good portion of the stew. It smells appetizing. Thanks, Dave. Enjoy it. You can accompany me if you want.
No. I mean, maybe another day.
I spooned into the stew and tasted the dish. No wonder it was so tasty. It had a lot of spices. The food warmed my stomach and made me feel better, but this person was still hiding on the other side of the table and was beginning to be irritating. Sure, there's something we can talk about.
Are you an artisan?
Are you an artisan?
Why do you say that?
Your living room looks like a workshop.
Oh, have you seen my works?
Yes, they are amazing.
Seriously?
I've never seen anything like them.
I am still learning.
They did not look like an apprentice's job. Have you had something to do with my body?
You don't remember?
No, I hardly remember anything before today.
I sewed you, yes. And for that I used forbidden magic. That is why it is important that you do not leave the house.
So you are a witch?
Yes. But I'm not very powerful. All my enchantments are related to sewing. Those who are like me are called seamstresses.
This is starting to make more sense. The house was full of needles, scraps of fabric, and skeins of yarn. So, you don't eat children?
No.
I see, it doesn't seem like you have a secret basement.
Because I do not have it.
The way she said it made me laugh instantly. Ho 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 ho!
¿Qué es tan gracioso?
I'm thinking she's asking if it was delicious. I don't know. Wait a second, Google. ¿Qué es tan gracioso? What's so funny? Got you. Sick.
What's so funny?
Boom, baby. I did not mean it.
Oh. I'm sorry, I don't get many visits.
Do you live here alone?
Yes. Sometimes I go down to the market to deliver my orders, or to buy materials and food, but I usually don't take long to return. By the way, I'm Arachne. And you?
I thought for a second, but I knew the answer. I don't know.
What a fool I am, you just said it.
It's okay, some memories come back to me when I see something that is familiar to me.
Interesting.
Her way of saying it did not inspire confidence. After all, the reason I looked like this was her. I don't know if I want to continue this conversation. I didn't know what else to add and looked back at my half-finished plate.
Maybe I should let you rest. It must be all too new, and I don't think your body is fully recovered.
My eyesight tires easily, but otherwise I feel pretty good.
That means that at least I managed to completely close your wounds.
What happened to my body went beyond a couple of cuts. I don't know what to think about Arachne. It doesn't seem like she had bad intentions, but she was certainly very strange.
Although I must warn you that you should not leave this house.
Why is that?
The forest is dangerous at night, and the town is several kilometers away. Although I do worry that someone will see you. We could get in trouble.
It's clear that Arachne had done something she shouldn't have done, not just by using forbidden magic. What had I become? I need to think about all this. Well, I'll go to bed soon.
Good. I'll be in my room. If you need something, you already know where to find me. It is next to yours. It has no loss.
Good night. No lock? Is that what you meant?
Good night.
The house was small and square on one level. It was impossible to get lost. At the most, there would be a room or two unexplored, although I would like to see the surroundings. I have no idea where I am. Maybe if I take a walk in the woods, my memory will activate. Although I did not notice the fatigue in my muscles or in my body, I could perceive that my vision was clouding. I hoped it was only temporary. For the moment, I would take it easy. I don't feel like I have any reason to fear for my life. Maybe that overconfidence was a mistake. I turned off the light in my room and lay down on the bed. The dawn light woke me up and a gigantic yawn escaped my body. Same. Today, mate. Okay. Today I am in a better mood. Let's see what we can do today. I got up and dodged the sideboard where the mirror still hung. I deliberately avoided going near it or thinking about what happened the day before. What a darkness! I drew the window curtains and the orange light hit my retinas. It still took a couple of seconds to get used to the change in light, but when I did, I was able to see the exterior of the house for the first time. As Arachne had commented, we were in the heart of the forest, and what exactly that was another topic. But it didn't seem to be close to any other dwelling. The forest, on the other hand, seemed charming, full of life everywhere. And even so, I had a bad feeling. Somehow it was familiar. A chill ran through my body, and I spontaneously began to shiver as if the temperature had plummeted. How long has it been since the last snowfall? Several bottles filled with the whitish liquid. It was obvious what it could be, but still, I had to check it. I took one of them and opened the cap to smell the contents. The scent was unmistakable. Milk! I put it on the counter and replaced the rest of the bottles on the shelf. It's full of things that are not in the least familiar to me. There are mostly mason jars with preserves. Is that an eye? I'm not sure there's food here. Still, I'll keep searching a bit more. When I was about to give up, I found a box at the bottom of the shelf. With these eggs, I can definitely do something. Oh, here are a large number of pans, casseroles, and kitchen tools. Hopefully I find something to cook. I could make a nice breakfast. The cauldron is no longer on the fire, but the embers still give off some heat. Will Arachne be awake? Will it bother her if I start cooking? I'm sure I can find something I can do. There are plenty of spices in here, but I'm sure I can find something of more substance. Okay. Oranges. Oranges! They are not very common in this region. They are sure weren't cheap. Big Toe just hurt like a crazy. Will Arachne think it's bad if I make juice with them? I was excited about the idea of cooking for both of us. After all, even though I don't quite understand how or why I was there, I owed her my life. Did that make any sense? I think I already have it all. Let's get to work. I took advantage of some of the spices hanging from the ceiling to make some scrumptious scrambled eggs. I raised the embers with the help of a small wood and put one of the pans on the fire. A little oil, eggs, spices, and a touch of salt. It smelled very appetizing. It was not difficult for me to locate the dishes. I plated two servings, and then I started with the juice and milk. I quickly found a jug to pour the milk into and put it on the fire. The juice was another complication, as there was nothing to squeeze it. Use your strong hands. Something came to my mind. I rummaged through the cutlery and kitchen tools and found a whisk. Perfect. With this I could easily do it. I knew it because I had already done it before. Another fragmented memory. Only this time I felt different, smaller, and I heard the laugh of someone who I didn't know who it was. Your papa-san, maybe, or your mama-san. I stirred on the pot as I snapped back to reality. The sensation had been unpleasant, like looking at the cliff opening under my own feet. I finished breakfast and placed some parsley sprouts on top of the omelet for decoration. Perfect. Although it would be better to have breakfast with some company, right? Should I bring Arachne breakfast? I don't want it to get cold, and I don't lose anything by trying. I grabbed a tray and set all the dishes and went to her bedroom. Wait, is that? Set all the dishes. I rapped on the door with my knuckles softly. Arachne? I'm not presentable. Oh. I made breakfast, and... Did you make breakfast? Yes, I hope that... 1 second, I'm almost out. Arachne's voice was animated, and I turned to the kitchen counter with her breakfast tray, I think. Might be a he, but I don't... Maybe. The door to the room opened, and a figure covered in a richly embroidered velvet cloak appeared. See, it's a she, I knew it. Disappointment spread across my face. Arachne was more careful about her identity than she should be. I don't even know who I am. Who do you think you are, I am? She looked hunched over, and I guess she was an old woman. She fit the witch's cheek. I knew she lived alone. She lives alone in the middle of the forest. I think they meant cliche, but cheek, I don't know. Although I still have my doubts about her being wise.
Good morning.
Hello.
It smells very appetizing.
I think I used to cook, or at least I knew how to defend myself. I'm still pretty confused about all the fractional memories. I have your plate. I've left your plate right there.
It is a great detail to have remembered me.
Well, it's your house and your food. I didn't know if it would bother you.
Contrary to that, I'm looking forward to trying it.
She sat down on another of the kitchen stools and dipped her fork into the scrambled eggs.
They are really good.
You think? The taste is familiar to me, but I can't quite remember anything else.
But out of curiosity, where did you get the eggs from?
Oh, they were on the kitchen shelf.
Oh!
What's up?
Nothing.
Shouldn't I have taken them?
Let's say they may not be chicken.
I swallowed the piece of egg that was still in my mouth with some fear. What are we eating?
Nothing worrisome. It was completely edible.
She waved her hand to me to ask any more questions. We both eagerly devoured our breakfasts, and then I helped Arachne clear the kitchen.
I've been thinking about your memories. I'm not sure how to help you, but I have remembered one thing.
What is it about?
Come with me.
We went to the living room, and as I stared at the hypnotic tapestry, she began rummaging through her things endlessly. She didn't seem very organized.
There it is.
In front of the face, she held up a pendant with a sparkling rainbow stone. Wow, it's so pretty.
I just found you. I don't know much about you, but there is something you had with you. This pendant. Now I give it back to you.
She placed the medallion on my hands and then clenched my fist.
So, does it tell you something?
I closed my eyes in an attempt to focus, but nothing happened. The memories came randomly and were uncontrollable. No.
Wow, I was hoping it meant something.
It probably does, but who knows?
Perhaps another witch's magic would have been more useful to you. My memory tease...
My memory what?
My memory...
Magic? Or dire? My memory tease. Skills? Or dire? Is there something like that?
Oh yes, there are many disciplines. Being a seamstress is a very residual branch. We are very few, and our appearance makes us strange in the world of humans, and not very useful in the world of witches.
But you saved me. It does not seem like something not very useful to me, unlike...
What I did is considered necromancy, and of course, it is not allowed. It is dangerous. Kings once used their witches to revive their own armies and make them fight at will. That, if it went well, on other occasions, reanimated bodies were created without conscience. Very difficult to kill and tremendously violent.
The very idea of ending up like this didn't please me at all. But I hadn't had any chance to take sides in that decision. You haven't done it before, why risk it?
All the magic of the seamstress is based on our threads. With them we can weave objects with magical qualities, see the future or repair what we can no longer be repaired. You were still alive when I found you. I used my thread to keep you that way, but for this I had to use the parts of... The words died on the witch's lips, but I knew exactly what she was referring to. I looked at my arms in that sick purple tone. For many witches, what I did was necromancy. Some parts of your body, well, they weren't alive when I took them. I didn't have many options. There was no better solution. No, if I wanted to keep you alive.
I understand. It was simple to understand. Not so much to assimilate, and I felt a little bad for those people who were now part of me. What would have happened to them? Did we know each other?
What?
Did you save someone unknown? Does that make any sense at all? I think it means why did you save someone you don't even know?
There are many things that do not make sense. I did it and I don't regret it really. Not all witches are good. Above all, those who insist on keeping old customs alive.
I thought you would be more traditional.
Why do you say that?
An old lady living in the middle of the forest sounds pretty traditional.
I'm barely a couple of years older than you, I think.
I laughed at her indignant reply, but her response surprised me quite a bit. I had assumed that she was an old woman. Perhaps I had read many stories. Although the fact she always keeps hidden didn't help dispel the doubts. I'm sorry. It's hard to tell if you always stay that far away. What's the trouble?
It's not that. Well, I don't think I could look you in the face afterwards.
Ah. My reply sounded curt, but that's what her answer felt like. I already knew that I looked strange and difficult to look at, but up to that point, who was I kidding? I had a hard time facing my own reflection.
No, I did not mean that.
Then you mean what? My eyes work well. I can see the scars all over my body, and the color of my skin and my hair. I am a corpse.
I tried my best, but the magic seams are not that neat and aesthetic. I'm sorry. Still, I didn't mean you, but me. Normally humans are easily scared of my kind.
I couldn't imagine how Arachne could be unpleasant to me. She had been kind and had never asked me for anything. I have no reason to be scared of you, nor to judge your appearance, don't you think? From my point of view, it was impossible to be worse than me.
Well, but promise me you won't scream.
I've already seen you. I won't.
Arachne got
a little nervous and fiddled with her cloak, downing herself.
It's fine.
As she slipped her clothes off her shoulders, I didn't find anything extraordinary. A young woman with a similar age to mine, with fine and pleasant features. Not only did she not see a single flaw, but she looked quite attractive. I felt the heat creep down my pale cheeks. The clothes she wore were as elegant as the ones she made for her clients, and they extolled a slim and graceful figure. If it weren't for the confused expression she had, I would have thought she was playing with me. Anyone could mistake her for an elegant girl of the nobility. It took me a little longer to figure out what was wrong. Although the clothing was designed to disguise it, her hips flared into a large hotly bulge at the back of her body. What does that mean? It reminded me of a spider's abdomen. Oh, she's part spider, cool. Ending in two fine rows where its famous thread was created. Oh. Arachne's expression turned disappointed.
I can cover it.
Of course not. I hadn't been able to control my reaction, but that didn't mean I was upset, just that it was something unexpected. It is not unpleasant. Are you sure? I don't see anything wrong with her body. Yes, there's nothing in you that can make another uncomfortable. I understand that it is something peculiar, but it is no stranger than my own body, don't you think?
I try to do my best. I don't dislike it, but I can try to find some way to improve it. If you like.
Do you think there's a way to seem more human?
I guess so, but why would you want that?
You said it, different ones don't fit. Anyone who looks at me can tell something is wrong.
I don't see anything wrong with you.
Whatever. I did not want to make her feel worse for her own work, but the truth is that I avoided any reflective surface at all cost.
I will do my best to find some kind of magic that can help you. Now I have to get to work. I have many assignments to fulfill, otherwise the nobles will be angry at me.
With me. And what should I do in the meantime?
I had not thought of it.
Arachne seemed a bit scattered with the most obvious and mundane things.
I can give you some homework if you want, although you may still prefer to rest.
No, I feel good, and my eyesight has not failed me yet.
Great.
I have 3 tasks. Choose the ones you like. Oh,
I have 3 tasks. Choose the ones you like. You can go for firewood. The wood place is almost empty, and the temperatures are still very low. Although There is also the garden. It's a bit run down, and now that you're here, it's best to keep it in tip-top shape. The other thing that occurs to me is that the old well has a bad rope. It swells and does not work properly. You may be able to find a solution to that problem. What do you decide? Let's see. Take over the whale? Don't even know if you can figure it out. I think you better have... No, it's fine. We have nothing to lose, right? I will review it and try to find a solution. If there is no fix, I will just let it be. I didn't want to discourage you like this, but besides, you're right. We don't lose anything because you try. I nodded my head in the affirmative. For some reason, I was particularly excited about this task. In the second cupboard on the kitchen counter, you will find a toolbox. Perfect. I'll get to it right away. Ragney waved me off, and I stopped briefly to get the tools. The sunlight blinded me for a second when I went outside. Okay, now to the well. I scurried the perimeter of the house. The well was not far from the orchard. Already from a distance, I had the feeling that the ceiling was sagging. It probably had nothing to do with the rope swelling from the humidity. At the well, I checked the tools. A mallet, a pick, some nails, a pick. Seeing all this, an inexplicable emotion invaded me. Same as having found a treasure. I could see myself fiddling with all of them while humming a song. But that voice was not mine. Wake up! Everything around me was blurred, and I didn't understand how everything had changed so suddenly. What happened? Where am I? I noticed my body was lying on my own bed. A second ago, I was not here. You fainted. I thought I had lost you. Seriously? That had been very confusing. I had no recollection of how I had gotten there, or of vanishing. What happened? I had a memory, and then... Yes, that's when I lost consciousness. I don't think it's convenient for you to do more homework. But... Sorry, I'm worried that next time I won't be around when it happens to you. I didn't like the idea of sitting around and doing nothing. But at the moment, I had a lot to think about. That voice, that emotion. The memories grew stronger and stronger. It almost like someone else possessed me. For today, you rest. Tomorrow we'll talk about everything. Okay. I didn't feel like thinking about it too much now. And I also had a bad headache. Sleeping won't hurt. Good night. Good night, Arachne. I woke up later than the day before. My sleep had been heavy and dreamless, but at least now my mind didn't feel as cloudy. By the time I got to the kitchen, breakfast was already served. Although Arachne had busily started sewing in the living room, she didn't hesitate to put down her chores to come closer. Good morning. Good morning. Eat something and then you can come and keep me company. I didn't feel very good about it, but I nodded as I made my way to the kitchen island. Eating breakfast in complete solitude did not feel good this time. Arachne had been concerned to replicate the breakfast I had made the previous time. Although this time I couldn't help wondering where those eggs came from. Don't think about the eggs. Don't think about the eggs. After finishing eating and cleaning the dishes, I looked out the window again. Would I be there long? It had barely taken a couple of days, and the idea of staying for no other reason than to watch Arachne work did not quite convince me. The reflection of my own face in the glass brought me back to hideous reality. With that appearance, I couldn't go anywhere. I felt a chill and lowered my head to avoid having to take a look at myself anymore. If I resign myself in this way, I will never be able to leave this cabin. Is that what I wanted? Surely there's some way to change my situation. How was breakfast? Stabo bueno. I think that means it was good. The silence fell between us, and it felt heavy and uncomfortable. Something happened? If I didn't tell her even a small part of what was on my mind, she would probably start to suspect. I've been thinking, if I'm going to stay here, maybe I should find a better way to contribute
better than doing little chores or cooking. Maybe it's stupid, but could I help you sew?
You want to learn?
That answer is not quite clear to me. I just want to stop feeling useless. Probably more of a hindrance.
Sounds like a great idea to me, and I'll be very happy to teach you.
Seriously? Very seriously.
I love to sew. It would be an honor for me to be able to share that with you.
What's going on?
Well, now I realize you don't have a name to call yourself by.
I hadn't fallen for that, and neither did my memories seem to help. I hadn't thought of that, I think. Neither did my memories seem to help. They were becoming more and more confusing and seemed to belong to many people.
You will end up remembering it.
I think that doesn't make any sense. You probably remember a name, or maybe several, but I don't think it has much to do with me.
Have you found out something?
I think I have. When I fainted yesterday, I had another memory, more vivid than the previous ones, but a memory. And I have a theory.
Tell me.
Arachne even left her work just to attend me. Well, I think it's not the memories of the person I was before, but of all the people I was.
Oh, that's...
Arachne did not know how to finish her own sentence. Confusing.
Yeah.
The conversation died tragically again, and Arachne went back to her sewing.
And how about you chose one?
Choose one?
A name. Something that you can think can only be yours.
Her logic had a point. It's no use trying to remember who I am or who I was. Now I am something else, and I had to learn to live with that. I like it.
Is there a name you like?
I don't think I should give myself an ordinary name.
And why not?
I shrugged and began to fiddle with the locket Arachne herself had given me. It had rather nice iridescent tones, but its color was uneven. They reminded me of my own skin, although that gem was much prettier.
Arachne, what is this stone called? The one with your pendant? It is an opal.
I like it. I think I'll call myself Opal. What do you think?
Well, it suits you.
I don't think I want to completely forget what I was, but it is clear that I am something different.
Look to the past to continue the future. I know that feeling. I think that is why I also keep this tapestry. Knowing where you come from often helps you to know where you're going. Although, to tell the truth, I don't go out much.
And what story does it tell?
Oh, it was from my mother, and before her, from her mother, and so on and so on.
The first time I saw it, I found it somewhat unsettling.
Spiders in general tend to have that effect on people. My name comes from the first seamstress. It is said that she was a great craftswoman, so good at sewing and spinning that some thought she had magical powers. A witch wanted to verify it and mounted a competition to prove that her talent was not comparable to his powerful magic. In spite of everything, Arachne won, and the jealous witch turned her into a spider.
That's very sad. It's actually Greek mythology. I don't think it was a witch, it was a god that was competing with Arachne. I think.
I guess. Arachne took refuge in the forest and continued weaving. Even if the world turned its back on her, she still had her ability to weave, and nothing more important existed for her. What no one knew is that the witch's spell endowed her with her works with a magic that was unpredictable. I guess history explains a lot about our magic too.
It is unfortunate that she had to end up alone in the forest.
Do you think that happened?
Arachne laughed with a crystalline and innocent smile.
Arachne did not spend the rest of her life alone. Even turned into a spider, she was still a smart and kind woman. And her magic was far stronger than that of any current seamstress.
Oh.
It is said that she built a dress that could make her revert to her human form. But I will save that story for another day.
Why?
Good stories always keep you waiting. Also, I just had an idea for you. How about starting by sewing something for yourself?
For me?
With my help, of course.
but I don't think it's appropriate for you to wear that old sack. I looked down at my worn robe. It's all I had found when I woke up. It was a bit bland, but it did do the job.
Let's go, it'll be fun. I will help you with the patterns and we will start sewing simple things.
I hope so.
The first step is the most difficult, but it does not require picking up a needle. Wait here.
Arachne ran to her room at full speed. She seemed very excited about all this. When she returned, she was carrying several heavy rolls of cloth.
The fabrics!
I went over to look at the coils and realized that they were all very high quality and probably very expensive. Are you sure I can use these fabrics?
Why shouldn't I be?
Well, they look expensive and I don't think I need a flashy wardrobe.
Nonsense. Clothes reflect who we are on the inside and how we feel. It doesn't matter if we can't choose the face we have, we can choose the way we present ourselves to the world.
Looking at Arachne, I didn't really know what she meant by all that. I still appreciated her attempt to comfort me.
Let yourself be carried away by your intuition and choose what you like the most.
It's fine. I went through the loose scraps and spools until I was left with the 3 especially promising ones. Black. She wears black, so it'll be matching. I went through the... oh, black. Okay, black's not a choice. Gold. Okay. Green. Great. Green's the only one that works. The fabric is very soft and the details seem cheerful to me. Even if I look so strange, I think I identify most with this type of fabric. Although it looks expensive and of good quality, it doesn't look too flashy. It reminds me of the trees in the forest. I think it's because I like living here. I think this is fine. What do you think? Arachne grabbed the scrap and stretched it out to check the pattern, color, and texture.
I see. I think I have a clear idea of what you're looking for.
Oh yeah? Because I have no idea what I'm doing.
Don't worry so much and just let yourself go. I'll cut out the basic pieces and then show you how to sew it so it's strong and pretty.
The lightness with which she took the scissors and the speed and confidence with which she made the cuts in the fabric made it look so simple. As if anyone could do what she did.
Now I will explain to you where you should start sewing and in what way.
Arachne's words helped me understand it, but my fingers moved on their own, anticipating her indications. It wasn't a memory, or at least it didn't feel like the other times, but I did have an intense sense of deja vu.
You're picking it up really fast.
Oh.
I think it's not the first time I've done it. It is likely because you take the needle in the correct way and you also use the fabric. I think I can let you work.
Time has flown by. How many hours have we been sewing? You're not hungry?
A little.
Arachne stretched, leaving a huge bodice to one side, whatever that means.
Sometimes I'm so absorbed in my homework that I even forget to eat. It's very nice to have someone here who is aware of these things. With how clumsy I am, one day I'll forget to breathe.
Don't exaggerate.
Exaggerating things is one of my specialties.
I was beginning to think that Arachne had a dramatic part, and I found it quite amusing.
Well, what do you want to eat?
Anything but eggs.
Today I picked a beet that looks quite tasty.
It's fine by me. We divide up the chores. I took care of the kitchen, and Arachne set the table and brings me everything necessary. It was nice having a time like this, where we both seemed very close. Okay, are you ready to eat? Arachne seemed distracted. She had stared at the book on the counter. Am I interrupting you?
Of course not.
You seem very concentrated.
It's only that I'm trying to find one thing.
What a mystery.
Is that what it looked like? Actually, I'm looking for something for you.
Something for me?
Yeah, well, I know your appearance doesn't make you very happy, and it's partly my fault.
She was right, but it still made me feel a bit bad. After all, I believed with all my heart that Arachne had done the best for me. It sounded almost like an ungrateful complaint when deep down Really grateful. I think that's what it means. And what can be there?
Well, it's my spell book.
Your spell book, and do you leave it in the kitchen so nonchalantly?
Okay. I do not usually receive many visitors, and it's the most logical place for me. Although, being honest, I rarely remember it.
It did not seem that Ratney made much use of her magical gifts. She was much more focused on her role as a seamstress. Isn't that supposed to be the most important thing to a witch?
Well, not in my case, that's for sure. My spells tend to go wrong more often than normal, and my potions are often just as deficient. It's quite frustrating. Without my threads, I have practically no value as a witch. But I have promised to help you, and that is what I'm going to do.
Ratney opened the book with a snort as she turned the page heavily.
There's a concoction. Maybe it is what you're looking for, although I would like to know if you're sure about all this.
Yes, of course. Somehow, Ratney seemed disappointed with my answer.
Here. Okay, I have one last warning. This potion is not final. It will end up reversing its effect.
Permanent, I think that's what it meant. There's nothing better?
I wouldn't dare do anything riskier. The potion is camouflage, it just overwrites how you look in the face of others.
Understood. It's not a change, it's more like a costume.
Exactly. But the advantage is that the ingredients are easy to get. Although it's clear that we are missing a few. What I mean is that we could do more.
Sounds great news to me, Ratney. Hopefully this may be the solution I was looking for.
You still shouldn't be so happy. We still have a lot of work ahead of us.
I'm not in a hurry, really.
Before you know it, it will all be done.
For now, I'm content if we eat the beets while they're still hot.
Study is over. I want to sink my teeth into it.
How tired I am. Today, at least, has been a fairly productive day and without any shock. Any surprises. My mood has been improved throughout the day. The thought of being able to help Ratney with her work was very encouraging. In addition, I had discovered that I already knew how to sew, and it was most relaxing. I can't wait to see the result. Above all, the idea of being able to find a way to have a more normal appearance. Maybe even get out of the cabin. Even if Ratney tried so hard to be nice, I still feel that there is no choice, but this isn't a choice, but an obligation. I would like to be able to decide what to do and where to go. Tomorrow will be another day. My eyelids closed heavily and I fell asleep incredibly fast, I guess. I woke up to a strange and repetitive sound. I would say mechanical, but it's impossible to discern unless with the eye open. Half open. I looked out the window. The first light had barely risen. That's an annoying ass noise. There's nothing to do anymore. I don't think I'll be able to fall asleep again unless with this background noise. I left the room and saw Arachne in the living room working busily on the spinning wheel. Stop it. Yeah.
Did I wake you up?
I didn't need to answer. My face said it for me.
I'm sorry. I wanted to pick up my thread before you got up.
So that's your famous thread.
Yes, but it is not processed after taking it. It loses some qualities.
I curled up on the couch as I watched her continue to work.
So that thread.
Is this thread? I pointed to the stitches on my neck.
Yes, when it comes out, it has a lot of magic concentration. That's why it has a crimson color. But when it takes shape, it changes color. It is as if it stabilizes once it takes its final form.
Your thread is pure magic.
Yes, it is the condensation of my own magic.
Amazing.
Come here, I want to show you something.
I moved closer, even if what I wanted right now was to go back to bed.
There's a special stitch for my thread, the one I used with you. Now I would like to show it to you.
She cut a strand fresh from the spinning wheel and taking a scrap she had in her sewing box and a needle drew a figure in the shape of a loop. As the stitch closed, the thread darkened to completely black.
You see? It's simple, right? I know it won't be hard for you. You're good at it. Would you like to try it?
Ratney handed me the scrap and the needle, and I carefully picked it up. I watched the stitch for a second and then tried to replicate it right next to it. The thread changed color as I closed the pass. Both were almost identical.
Perfect, and you still haven't fully awakened. At least I got this over with before I go.
Go. Are you going to the forest?
Huh? No, I'll be absent all morning.
The news took me completely by surprise, but ended up waking me up with a bang. Where are you going?
I'll go down to town to drop off my orders and buy some things.
On my nose.
And I can't go.
It was not a question. I knew she would not let me accompany her.
Sorry, partly I want to go because I think I'll find some ingredients for your potion. I just hope it goes well.
What will I do? I didn't want to sound cheeky, but I didn't like the idea of being alone.
You can continue sewing. Your clothes move fast. If you work hard during the day today, I'm sure that you will soon see the result. You may even be able to finish. Or you can take a break. No hurry.
I had no doubt that my task would not last long. My fingers were nimble and used to manual work. That was not what bothered me, but the fact that I did not feel free to go where I wanted.
Can I at least get out? I'm worried you'll pass out again, but Opal, you're free to do whatever you want. I haven't tried to lock you up, just to warn you. If you give me a little more time, you will soon be able to move safely.
Arachne was undoubtedly more reasonable than me. I think I was just speaking my own frustration. I'm sorry, I won't do anything stupid.
Do not worry, you haven't said anything bad. If you go out into the woods, please don't stray far.
Arachne got up from the working ramrod and went to her room, where she took her cloak.
I'll be back at noon. You will not notice my absence.
The witch made a pained face. She had caught my discomfort very quickly. See you later. I turned around and headed for the kitchen without waiting for her goodbye. The door was soon ringing after the witch had left. I decided to have a light breakfast. I didn't feel like cooking, and as soon as I had the chance, I went back to my sewing project. Anything to keep my mind focused on not thinking. I knew that some of my anger was irrational, but the bad mood didn't go away just by wanting it. I didn't even remember to eat. I just busied myself with my work, which was progressing at a dizzying pace. Or so I thought. By the time I made the last stitch on the suit, the light had fallen and it was night. But how many hours had passed? The frustration was now relegated by a bit more urgent feeling concern. The witch said she would be back at noon, but night had already fallen. Had something happened to her? Did she get lost going back through the forest? I put my suit aside and wondered what to do. I could not appear in town. It was something Arachne had tried to make me understand by all possible means, and furthermore, I also did not know where it was. Going out looking for her was risking getting lost. I passed the kitchen impatiently while trying to think of something, but the only thing that crossed my mind is how curt I'd been before she left. I wouldn't forgive myself if things ended like this. The sun finished going down and I still had a knot in my stomach. It didn't matter if I had hardly eaten all day, because now I couldn't eat a pea. I heard a noise similar to the one being made to shake the earth. Was I completely losing my mind? I would swear not, and that it was coming closer and closer from the forest. I opened the door of the house and found Arachne dragging a heavy sack. Arachne! I'm back! I was relieved to see the witch enter the door, leaving the sack behind, but carrying a basket full of things with her. I've fallen behind, I'm sorry. The full bag has slowed me down much more than I thought. My heart contracted with relief when nothing strange had happened. Without thinking, I jumped on the witch and hugged her, hiding my face on her shoulder. Opal? Are you fine? Yes, now I am. I walked from the witch without giving any explanation. Maybe I had been childish. But to be honest, I had no regrets. What do you bring? A bit of everything. There were good prices on lemons and... I bring eggs. Oh no. I promised they were chicken. I checked. I'm not sure that I can eat eggs again. And you? How was your day? Well, I was worrying that I don't know what I should have done if you hadn't shown up. You said you'd be back at noon and...
Oh, I shouldn't have been so late. It will not happen again, I promise. But, other than that, anything interesting?
I think I'm done sewing.
Wow, how fast! And, well, how does it look on you?
Look on me. I have not tried it. You might want to check it out before.
Where clothes are best checked is dressed.
I suppose. I wasn't going to replicate her crushing logic.
And what are you waiting for?
Okay. It won't take long. I retired to my room with the suit in my hands. Ragni's measurements were perfect. The fabric adapted to my body perfectly, without missing or excess of millimeter of fabric. I went to the mirror that I avoided so much. I could not say it does not fit me. On the contrary, but that was not my merit, but Ragni's talent for sewing. I was still monstrous.
Can I come in?
Yes. I had been so lost in my thoughts that I had forgotten that I had only come in for a moment to change.
It's incredible.
I think it adapts well to my body.
So, why do I get the feeling that something's wrong? Is there something you don't like? We can change it.
No, that isn't the case. The clothes are perfect.
Then...
I sat on my own bed. A very intense exhaustion washed over me. It's me. My face, my body. I didn't want to tell you because I know you did what you could. But I can't help but feel rejection.
I understand.
She did not seem upset. On the contrary, she seemed focused on what I just said.
I think I understand better than you think that what you feel.
You can at least get out of this house.
Being different is not easy, but not everything is based on how others see us. What matters is how you feel.
Well, I don't feel good.
Do you remember the story of the tapestry?
Yes, of course.
Ragni was rejected and took refuge in the sewing and in her forest. Her heart turned dark and spiteful. She hated everyone who turned their back on her and gave no chance to those who hadn't met her yet. Everyone avoided her forest. Her cobwebs fluttered in the wind like the banners of armies. Few dared to enter and fewer still managed to get out. Such was her resentment to the world, that she built a dress that when she put it on, it made her look human again. But instead of taking revenge, she ended up discovering something that she had forgotten a long, long time ago. That there are good people. And
came over and sat next to me. For some reason, she was having a hard time continuing.
She met someone, a humble shepherd who had the lands very close to the forest. A kind and generous man, even though he didn't have much money or education. Ragni tried to woo him, leaving some of her more expensive works on his doorstep or inside the barn. But the shepherd rejected the mysterious gifts, leaving them in the same place where he found them. Determined, the Spider-Woman tried to seduce him with her wearing her magical dress. Ragni introduced herself as Arabella, a sweet cook, seeking refuge in a terrible storm. The man replied that this was a lie, that was not her name, nor was that the real aspect of her, but that he would not deny her entry. Countless times he had seen the woman enter and leave his lands, even in her original form. Far from being scared, he had curiously admired her works, woven on her fabrics, and the dedication she had in her task. As a good shepherd who loved his work, he appreciated the beauty of the deeds more than that of faces. Ragni knew for the first time what unconditional love was. The shepherd didn't care what she looked like, nor for a luxurious life. I understood where she wanted to go, but I couldn't help but think it was just a story. A story to try and comfort and give me hope. You are a kind person.
I don't even know that.
You accepted me and you accepted what I did. You have cooked. You have even wanted to learn to sew to help. I have no doubt what I say.
Ragni gave me a kind little smile, and our gazes locked for a second.
I accept you too.
A warm feeling ran through my spine. I had never heard in this or the rest of my heard someone being so honest. Her hand trailed across the bedspread, inviting me to take it, reciprocate. My hand moved on its own accord, and our fingers joined in a gentle, silent gesture. I think for the first time I felt that Arachne was right, and that I was obsessing over something that was not so important. May I? Before I could finish the question, Arachne grabbed my face and kissed me. Oh, we about to make it with the spider lady. For a second, I was unable to react, gasping for air in surprise. Her hand stroked my face and then went into my hair, making me feel wanted. My whole body relaxed and returned her gesture with the same sweetness that she had shown me. I leaned over her like a snake enchanted by her melody, and her back lay flat on the mattress. Remember the snake boy? Her touch was so soft and pleasant, and I could feel how she smelled like vanilla. I separated a second, and the only thing I found was an exhausted smile of whom had achieved the purest and most absolute happiness. If before I had walked in fearing of my own movements, now I felt the impulse to return all that trust that had been placed on me. Our lips came back to possess us, and we let the language of our bodies speak for us. Hey, we did it, boys. We in here like swimwear. Oh wait. Opal! 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 Three figures diffused by mist called and attracted me. What's going on? I'm closer, Opal! I walked through the moor, without knowing where I was going. The fog was thick and barely allowed me to see those three people. Who are you? Just a lumberjack. A sick old woman. A mill builder. A mill builder! I had a familiar feeling. Somehow I already knew who they were. Hi. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Why? Our memory will not die entirely. It will always accompany you. We just wanted to say goodbye. You. I was silent. There was not a you, but a me, a we. A we. The memories that I had during all these days were theirs. Say goodbye. We will always be a part of you. But our lives are over. Still, we are grateful to you for collecting our memories. Those uncomfortable memories. I suppose even the dead have unfinished business. My heart sank a little. I had experienced things that they had felt, which now made them more real. Live your own existence. But don't forget us. See you again, Opal. I opened my eyes and stared at the ceiling for a few more minutes. I was sure those some memories would not come back to me again. My hand grasped the opal medallion as I determined to always carry with me the memory of the people to whom I owe my life. I stretched and got out of bed. All my energy had returned again. After Arachne's conversation, things had changed a bit for me. Besides that, the idea of seeing the witch in full action was an incentive. I hurried out of the room and found Arachne with a slice of bread in her mouth as she flipped through her spellbook. Opal. I gave her a smile and sat down next to her. You already have everything you need? Yes. I tried to memorize it, but I don't want there to be any setbacks. There won't. Right. I hope so. Arachne also had her own insecurities. Are you ready? Don't worry, eat something and we'll get to it. Now that I realized, Arachne had bought much more food than there was. I was able to choose between a loaf of bread with delicious aged cheese, a juicy apple, or an almond cake. The witch had spared no expense or effort. It was all delicious. I'm glad. But now let's get down to business. Let's get down to business to defeat the Hun. Is there anything I can do? Start asking me what I asked for. In principle, nothing should go wrong, but two pairs of eyes are always see more than one. Light the fire and I'll go for the moonlight water. Okay. I prefer to stay away from the ingredients, but was curious about that ingredient. How would it be obtained? Ragni poured the contents of a transparent flask into the cauldron.
Now comes the river troll skull. They almost gave me a cave one. I had to haggle for it.
I didn't know the witches were tough traders.
And some even scammers.
You don't seem to have a very high opinion of them.
In general, no.
I did not consider Arachne to be a prejudiced person, but I did not want to get to a matter that I was completely unaware of.
And now what happens? Tadpole blood.
Oh, and now what comes? What comes next? That's what it means.
Tadpole blood.
Do I have to drink it?
Only if you want.
I do.
I was just making sure. You could back out and nothing would happen.
No.
Well then, let's continue.
The rest of the process did practically in silence. The energy had gotten weird, and Arachne was using all her concentration. After the tadpole blood, scrupulously collected, came the wolf tusk, the mandrake root, and lastly 2 petals of a flower called windmill.
There's only a pinch of pure magic left.
Arachne moved her fingers over the cauldron and purple flashes slid down to the contents. A small explosion and the contents of the cauldron turned the same color.
Done.
And I could drink it already?
Yeah.
Arachne took a ladle and poured the contents into a glass. I took the container between my hands and drank it in one gulp.
Well, what do you feel?
No. Before I could finish a sentence, an electric sensation ran through me, from the tips of my toes to the root of my hair. We went Super Saiyan.
You should go find a mirror.
Had it worked? Was it that easy? The urge to get a mirror made me move quickly to the room. Even if it wasn't in the best condition, it was still able to give me back my own reflection. My fingers slid across the glass without really believing what was reflected there. I could recognize my features, but under a much more pleasant appearance. Looks great.
I do not know. It doesn't seem like that much to me.
What does not seem that much? There's no trace of scars, nor of my 2 colored eyes. I'm normal.
That's a way of looking at it.
The witch seemed more upset with the result than if she had completely failed. Let's go down to town.
Wait, what?
Let's go down. I want to see it.
I don't know if that's a good idea.
I don't see any reason for you to object. You said it would last at least half a day.
Yes, but I also told you that my magical powers weren't the best.
We followed the instructions to the letter, and you can see the result. Please? Will you make me beg you?
Don't make that puppy dog face.
Is that a yes?
Fine.
Thanks.
I still think it's not a very good idea.
We will be back soon, and I will not do anything weird.
You are an adult person, and you can do whatever you want.
Despite her resigned tone, I knew she wasn't as upset as she appeared. She put on her cape, and we left the house. The forest looked more beautiful than usual. Where's the town?
A couple miles south.
Perfect. Already from afar we could perceive the bustle. The square was full of merchant stalls of all kinds, and the smell of freshly cooked food invaded the atmosphere. There are a lot of people.
Every weekend all the artisans and peasants of the regions meet and offer their products.
There's almost anything you can imagine, filthy peasants. Do you show your work here?
Oh no, I get private commissions, but I buy a lot of fabrics here. Merchants bring them from exotic lands.
See.
Let's take a walk. What do you want to visit?
There is something that has caught my attention. The store was one of the largest and even had a small oven and workbench for the glass blower. Apart from its incredible lamps, I was fascinated by the work process, the way the glass was heated, and the tools.
They are beautiful, don't you think?
I took my eyes off the craftsman to see Arachne tremendously diluted with a lamp decorated with colored glass. Yes, it is.
It's a shame we can't carry one.
And wouldn't you like it more if we did?
A lamp? It seems very complicated.
I don't know what that one sentence was trying to say. I think I understand the process and would love to learn. I guess make it? Glassware? Are you interested in crafts? Rather construction. Anything that needs instruments I find fascinating. It could be a complete failure, but it could also be fun trying to do something ourselves. I like your attitude. When it came to repair, construction, and inventions, someone else's enthusiasm got the better of me. Now I knew why, and although it seemed strange, it made me feel as if loneliness was not something I could experience. Somehow, in their memories and abilities, they were still inside me. Maybe I'll buy you a book. Surely there's something that can explain how all this works. With study material, I will advance faster, although experimenting is also a good way to learn. No way, I don't want anyone to get hurt. Let's go to the bookstand then. I don't think there is something like that. Oh. However, I want to see more things, don't you? My eyesight was lost in a small stall run by a single woman. Let's go there. The scented candle shop is well known. Although as tiny as any other, the smell of plants and perfumes permeated the whole place. It was very relaxing. Please, take your time. The old woman gestured for us to take the candles. I took a yellowish one and smelled it. The pea-flavored candle. Vanilla. Sure, vanilla. I think vanilla is usually white, though. Arachne held one up to me, so I could smell it too. I like this. Give me a second. Arachne handed me the candle, and I concentrated on the aroma it gave off. Lavender. You have a good nose. Kind of like a family heirloom. My hand accidentally went to my pendant around my neck. Now that I know more about the person to whom this ability belonged, I can say that I am honored to be able to have such a quality. I had a friend who had the same talent as you. Yeah? I've not seen her in a long time. It's a shame. There was a special candle for her. Oh, so we're learning more about the people that we possess. Although now, you may be interested. Oh. The woman crouched behind the counter and produced a cylindrical dye-free candle. Please give it a try. If you know what it is made of, you can take it for free. Seriously? It is a tradition. I'll try. Took a moment to perceive all the nuances. This time, it was not as simple as before. There were several scents overlapping each other. Let's see, there's a strong citrus aroma. That is clear. Orange? Hint of spicy like cinnamon. But there is something else. And would you say it's a hint of musk? It's the pea candle. Incredible. I'll wrap it up for you right now. The smell was musk. She gave me the package, but we were taken by surprise when the old woman burst into tears without warning. Are you alright? Yes, perfectly. You don't need to take it. Oh, please, I insist. I've only become emotional thinking about my old friend. Please, next time you come back to the market, don't forget to stop by. I will have another special candle waiting. Consider it done. Aw. How many children? Normal, it's a toy store. You think they'll let us see any? Oh, do you think they'll let us see any? You are a little big. You're so silly. I like toys because of how they're made. Seriously? Good wood craftsmen can do many things with toys. I didn't know you knew so much about those things. I shrugged. Who would say that inside me there was an expert lumberjack who liked to carve things? I was not going to forget them, none of them. I know that even if they did not return in the form of unexpected memories, they will always accompany me. A gap has been opened, let's go further. Arachne took my arm and pulled me to the front row. Rocking horses, dolls, ropes, and all kinds of amazing toys hung from the very ceiling. I have never seen a place like this. The man who runs it used to be a carpenter, but he had more fun making toys for his children. Now they are the ones who run his business. Amazing. What a talented family. Hey. What's up? I think a top just stepped on me. I think we better get out of here. You have finished? Yes, and I don't want to take space away from the little ones either. So let's move. Alright. Can I suggest a place? Sure. It's a trinket shop, but I always stand in front of it for a long time. I never buy anything, but maybe today I'll change my mind. The witch accompanied me to a stall made up of very striking green and red fabrics. Rings and bracelets were displayed on the counter, along with engravings on paper, energy stones, and good fortune charms. How many things?
There's nothing useful, so I'm reluctant to buy anything, but everything seems so beautiful to me.
Yes, it was, and the prices were all so reduced. I wouldn't be surprised if they had a good deal with that little stall.
Come on, pick something, I'll buy it.
Anything?
Anything.
Okay, let me take a more in-depth look. I'll pick something for Arachne. Took me to a moment to identify something that I really liked for her. But when I looked at the cameo, I knew it was for her. A small spider was drawn inside with its legs open. I'll take this.
This? It doesn't suit you too much.
It's not for me. I laughed, much to the witch's confusion and surprise. I have thought about you. Don't you think it would look good on you?
Yes, it is very nice.
Well, it's decided.
You didn't have to. You
shouldn't have, god dang it. But I wanted to. After she wrapped the gift in a package and Arachne paid, we walked away from the stall. The market is full of interesting things. We could come every week. Oh shit. Arachne's expression changed color and I felt something was wrong. What's wrong? The witch raised a finger to my face and panic washed over me as well.
Your face! The potion!
No, no, no! To our own misfortune, we weren't the only ones that realized what happened. Several people stood up and began to watch the show. I grabbed Arachne, who looked petrified by the arm, and ran to keep my profile low. I dodged the villagers as best I could, seeking the shelter of the forest, but it was not easy to push my way through so many people. I noticed the grip loosened, and Arachne was momentarily left behind after colliding with a couple of strangers.
I'm sorry. Arachne?
Arachne? The witch's gaze met that of the pale woman, unable to answer her. Don't stop. They both turned to me like a pair of hawks just spotted a mouse. I gripped the witch's hand tightly and made sure no one else blocked our way. My lungs were full of crystals and my throats itched from running, but when I finally reached the threshold of the forest, I slowed to a stop. You think something will happen? The witch did not reply. She seemed paralyzed. Arachne?
Let's go home as soon as possible.
All the way, we walked hurriedly, and without saying a single word, there was something Arachne hadn't told me, something bad. When we crossed the threshold of the door, she closed the door quickly and drew the curtains. What's going on?
Nothing, could we just get down to something else?
Something else? What are you talking about?
I know. Did I tell you about my new assignment? I'm sure I haven't. It's a dress with petticoat.
I'm starting to worry.
Of course not. You move fast, much faster than me. There's no reason to be upset.
You're right, but we shouldn't have gone down. It was still too soon.
It doesn't matter. Not anymore.
Instead, I couldn't feel more guilty. I had forced things on a whim. Uh-oh. A sudden knock on the wooden door made Arachne flinch. I looked both ways, not understanding who had gone to that remote part of the forest. Would someone have followed us? The wind gestured for me to be silent and not move.
Arachne, don't be childish. We know you're home. If you don't open up, we'll be forced to call the coven, and they won't be so benevolent.
Witches? Were they witches? Arachne spat out a silent curse as she went to the door and opened it so wide that neither woman could see inside the hut.
Good girl. Edwina, Cordelia. Come on, dear. Anyone would just say you're avoiding us. A little witch like you has nothing to hide, right?
My witch voice, huh?
Of course not.
If I hadn't insisted on going to town in such a hurry...
Open the door! Now is not a good time. I'm not going to repeat it to you.
The first woman's hand rested firmly on the door and made Arachne step back. I recognized them instantly from the pair of women Arachne had run into in the market. Their gazes were even less subtle than when we first met, scrutinizing my entire body as if it was some kind of failed experiment. I was beginning to understand Arachne's revulsion towards other witches. Oh! Heck! Edwina, I told you it smelled like a corpse. It was hard for me to believe that something like this would come out of Arachne's hands. This is yours, right? I frowned, knowing they were treating me like I was an object in the room. It's nobody's. I will rephrase my question. This body, is it your job? Yes. Oh, Satan, this girl is stupid. The coven will ask for your head and that of your little spawn. No, you don't understand. What do we not understand? What, have you broken the rules? Do you think you're better than the others? It was an extreme situation. It was crazy. Oh, it was crazy. Complete folly. Well, whatever you want. But let them go. Let him go. No chance. What was she thinking about? Sacrificing herself? It was complete madness. That thing? No way. The rules talk about what practices are prohibited, but nowhere does it mention what to do with someone revived. They are dangerous. And stupid. No, Opal is not like that. Opal? She has named it. How cute. You were so curious, you could see for yourself. A ghastly hiss came out of both of them. A menacing sibling way, leaving me unwilling to intervene again. I beg you. The only thing you can choose is whether you want to introduce yourself to the coven or not. But you know that we will be faster. Edwina moved forward enough to grasp Arachne by the wrist. Cordelia wasted no time in approaching her as well. Opal, now run! No. Please! The two witches looked at me and the door, and then looked at the door. Before I knew it, I was running out of the house. An angry cry sounded behind me as I lost myself in the thick of the forest, leaving behind those witches and with them Arachne. I wandered aimlessly, penetrating further and further until my legs ached with exertion. Then I crouched by the roots of a tree and huddled. I continued on the trunk of the tree for hours. I was not able to move, fearing that any movement would give me away. But when the light fell, I had to assume that I had succeeded. I had managed to flee. The very thought of leaving Arachne behind gripped my stomach. The only reason I was still alive was her. She pulled me from the pile of corpses and brought me back from the dead. I may never know who I was in life, or who I was... What? Or who I am, but I have a conscience now, and a soul of my own. And that it was thanks to her, even if it was a strange being, or if it was going to take many years for others to accept the way I see myself, I am happy. Now I knew that what really mattered was not in the appearance, but in the actions. I cannot even imagine what kind of person I would be if I had not met Arachne in the first place. My hands trembled and I cried for the first time. A mixture of happiness and love, but also bitterness and sadness. The second time she saved me, and all I had been able to do was leave her behind. Running through the forest with his face etched in my memory like a burning iron. How could I have done that to her? How could I insist on going to the market? Everything had fallen apart because of my selfish desires. I had to go back. Now she knew. There was no use lamenting. Blaming me was like accepting that Arachne was dead, and I could do absolutely nothing for her. Whatever happened, I would come back and face the consequences. It was the least I could do for her. I got up from the ground, still shaking and doubting my own decisions. My body seemed reluctant to comply with my determination, but I didn't listen. I retraced my steps on my way to Arachne's hut. I made a detour and waited, still in the shelter of the forest, to see movement inside the house. The door was still wide open, swaying in the wind, just as it was after rushing out. I saw no movement through the windows. My eyes were sensitive to light, but they were also more precise. I couldn't be sure, but I'd say the witches have left. I wasn't going to back down, even if it was some kind of trap. It was better to be caught now than to be hunted for days. The house was in semi-darkness, which, although was very familiar to me, at this moment it seemed especially gloomy. I was not so afraid of being attacked as what might find me. The cabin floor was covered with bloodstains as I crept into the living room. Ragni's body was lying on the ground with several serious injuries. I was not even sure that she was still alive. Arachne? I leaned over her and grabbed her head. Opal. I touched her pale and dying face, but still alive. Is there anything I can do? You remember that stitch that I taught you? Yes, but... Use my thread. But I don't. Listen to me. The power is not in the hand, but in the thread. If you use my thread, I know that everything will work out. Her smile was trying to cheer me up, but what definitely got me going was her looks. I could keep watching the scene, or I could do something about it. Things weren't good in either case, but there was one that still offered some hope. It's fine. Although my hands were shaking, I approached the sewing tools and the thread that Arachne herself had been picking up a few days ago. Now it all seemed like a scene from the past, far, far away. I don't even know where... Do not worry. Arachne's hands grabbed mine and guided me to begin the work. My pulse trembled, but in spite of everything, Arachne did not stop encouraging me or accompanying me. I think it's the last one. I think I already feel... Before she could finish the sentence, the witch fell unconscious. Arachne! Arachne, answer me! Arachne! If I managed to stay calm, it is because I entertained myself. I will prepare an infusion and see that she woke up as soon as possible. Her heart was still beating. Arachne didn't come to, but she was reluctant to give up on me altogether. I can't say how I knew, but I did. Arachne. Opal. Are you okay? I've had worse days. Do not worry, I'm not going anywhere that you are not. I felt the heat creep up my cheeks. I don't think you can move. I'm not going to. And what about the witches? If they decide to return, I will have no mercy on them. The way she said it was nothing like the kind witch I knew, but I understood that after what had happened, she would have become more stubborn. As long as you are by my side, I know that nothing bad can happen. I don't think I was of much use. I even ran away. If you had stayed, we would have both died. Now I know what it is to want to protect someone, and I will not hesitate to use all my resources. Arachne took my hand in hers, and we stayed like that, in a conspiratorial silence, charged with relief, but also with determination. I was also going to protect her now. Now I know that her thread has united us in a stronger and more intense way than I could have imagined. It wasn't finished yet, I knew. If it weren't the witches, I know we'd have a lot of trouble to face, but as long as we had each other, everything would be fine. Good ending. Night Epiphany scene unlocked. You have finished Between the Seams, the story of Opal and Arachne. Thanks for playing our demo. The full game will be available very soon with 2 new stories, a gallery, and many more arts and improvements. Toxic Squad. Where's the Night Epiphany scene? Where do you see that at? Let's save. That was pretty good though. I like the story, but as English not being the first language, it seems it was really good at the start, but then it kind of like was a little bit harder to understand as the story went on. But overall, I thought it was pretty dope. The grimoire doesn't work. I don't know what doubts. Oh, had to do things. Yeah, I don't know what the Night Epiphany scene is. I don't think that's probably in the game yet, but it's pretty cool. I enjoyed it. But yeah, thanks for watching as always, guys, and I will leave a link to the game in the description if you want to try it for yourself. Alright, guys. Bye! Also, I played It Takes Two with my friend Riley yesterday, and I'm gonna hopefully upload it soon, but I've been having, like, super problems with my computer stuff, like hardware and whatnot, but I'll figure it out. Alright, guys. Bye for real!